And I think we're ready to go. So I'd like to introduce Charlie, and this session is Modernising Accessibility in Cinemas. We're going to have a few different things to show you, so tech-wise, bear with us on this one. We're doing our best.
Great. Good to go. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's accessibility session. My name is Charlie Little, and I am an access consultant with Matchbox Cine. I'm going to give a brief visual description. I am a young white woman in her mid-20s with long blonde hair, and I'm wearing a black jumper that says, "If it's not captioned, I'm not watching." And yeah, so we're here today to talk a bit about the tools and resources that can be used to expand and improve accessible film experiences. I know myself as a deafblind person, I bring my lived experiences of the kind of struggles and frustrations that go into accessing films, but also being able to actually go to the cinema and cinema spaces. So I'm really excited to be here today to talk about the tools that can be used to improve these experiences for disabled audiences and audiences with access needs. So I'll introduce our wonderful panel. We have Toki Allison here from Inclusive Cinema, going to talk about Sidecard. And we have Stephanie Tyrrell from Sense, who's going to talk about Subpac. And we have Gavin Neate, who's going to talk about Welcome. So I'm going to pass on to them each, and they're going to give their wee little presentations, and then we'll have a discussion and then go into audience questions.
Cool. Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Toki. I go by she, her. I'm a half Japanese, half English, pale-skinned woman who's nearly 40 with a heavy set fringe, dark and greying hair, wearing blue and black, and I've got planets on my back. So yeah, I'm here to talk about Sidecard. I feel a little out of my depth because I didn't actually deliver this project. I just sort of helped to set it up with our collaborators. But Matchbox Cine Sub are off doing exciting things in Europe and can't be here. So I'm kind of speaking on their behalf, but they really are kind of like the managers and creatives for that project, for this project. So maybe talk to them if you'd like to know more information, but I'm always really happy to be a messenger and funnel some of this. So, slide, please. Thanks. This is Sidecard. Please go and look it up if you haven't heard about it. Or can I actually ask who has heard about it already?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, good work. Next slide, please. So it's very simple. Essentially, it's a database. So it's not a repository for access files, but it's a database that is essentially like a listing service for access files. So we invite anybody who is creating versions, whether that's audio description files or descriptive subtitles, or even other versions, such as like high contrast or low contrast, or different types of versions of films or versions of files that could go against films, to make them more accessible, to share the information on this site, and in particular, obviously, to share contact details for how you could request access to those files. A lot of people will provide these versions for free. Some will charge for them. Some are with distributors, some are with filmmakers, some are with festivals. As you know, it's probably a bit of a patchwork trying to find access versions sometimes. It can be tricky. It's not always reliable that you're going to receive them. So the aim for this project was really to try and make things easier in terms of making films accessible for exhibition to screen. So it kind of does what it says on the tin here. I think if I just explain a little bit what you can see. So you can see that obviously we have different types of files. There's quality level at the moment is just professional, because that's what we like to do. Challenges. Yeah. But we would also invite people who may be amateur and creating their own to put them up there, but we would probably just mark that as such so that, you know, we can kind of quality control and check, and people are aware that they might need to kind of look at things and make some adaptations. And then you've also obviously got duration, etc. You can work out and filter by the genre of film. You could look at the length of the film if you don't want to do anything over 90 minutes, etc. So search by film, search by director. It's very straightforward. Can I get a next slide, please? So there's lots of information about Sidecard on the site. We'd recommend just watching the videos if that's useful to you. And also, obviously, hearing the audio if you prefer to do that than reading the text. Next slide. And we've got quite a lot of how-to guides as well. So there's how-to guides for festivals, for exhibitors who might be running venues, also for filmmakers. There's like lots of useful information on there, which has been created by Matchbox to support anybody who wants to create files and upload them. There's also a bulk upload possibility. So if you've got loads of information about lots of different films, you can just list it all in a nice Excel template that we've created and then send that over and we'll get it all uploaded. We do check all of the data before it goes in, so there is a kind of quality control measure on that, and then we might fire questions back and just go, we're missing this information, or this file type doesn't make sense, etc. But yeah, I'd really recommend using it, and please sharing it with people as well. This is how you might add a film, so it's very basic, just fill in the form. Ta-da! Sidecard.
Thank you, Toki. I was also part of the working group that worked on Sidecard, and I'm just so excited to see it in full fruition. Okay, we'll move on to Stephanie. You okay to go?
Yeah, okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Steph Tyrrell, Head of Arts for the National Disability Charity Sense. I'm a white woman with naturally dyed blonde hair and black roots. I'm wearing a silver dress and some very old Converse shoes. I'm here today to talk about representation of the people we support, showcase a screen dance film that we created this summer, and to talk about the different levels of access that we had within the programme. So, as I said before, Sense is a national disability charity. We've got services all across the UK. We primarily support people with complex disabilities, so one or more disability. The charity is about 60 years old, and we originally started supporting children and young people with deaf blindness. And as time has gone on, we've supported more and more people. So we now use terminology complex disabilities, but language is always changing. So I could be back here at another point in the future and it's changed again. But we are about supporting, empowering people with complex disabilities to live creative lives. We're really delighted. I know it's a sore subject, but we were recently awarded MPO status for the first time, which means that we can, which I think we're the first care provider to get this, so we can deliver a range of disabled-led arts programmes across the country in music, visual arts and dance. And the film I'm going to show you today is dance. We've been delivering dance primarily in the Midlands for the past 10 years, and dance is a wonderful form to connect and communicate with people. However, when working with people with complex disabilities, some of the people we support really thrive in a performance-based environment, kind of as we're set up now. But for some individuals, that actually can be quite challenging and cannot always promote people to have the best choice in what creativity they're involved with. So we worked with the amazing director, Seema Gonzai. Shout out to Seema if you're listening. And we've collaborated with Subpac, who I've seen here today. Thank you guys for inviting me here. And this summer, with the Commonwealth Games in Brum, we created Moving Portraits. And Moving Portraits is a film which captures different identities and looks at what does it mean to be me from the perspective of a disabled person. We're working with a choreographer, Lisa Simpson, who's based in Liverpool. Lisa has cerebral palsy, she's non-verbal, and she uses eye movement to direct dancers. So via Zoom, from her lounge in Liverpool, Lisa directed some of the people we support in our theatre space in Birmingham. And I'll show you the films, and then I'll talk about the different layers of access within the film, because what you'll see today is probably about a third of the experience for audiences, and we'd love to connect with more of you to look at how we have the whole installation shown within cinemas and film festivals. But I'll show you the films and then I'll talk about the levels of access that we have within there to make screen dance screen accessible for the people we support. And the film has audio descriptions and captions. Okay, please work.
being me. Abdul and Musa, a standoff in dance.
Abdul is an Asian boy with short brown hair and glasses. Musa is an Asian boy with short black hair.
Musa, a boy with short black hair, is joined by Abdul, a boy with glasses. They stare with intent at each other. Stepping back, they throw their arms out, ready for battle in a standoff. They mirror each other. They drop to the floor and push one leg into the air. Abdul connects with Musa. Musa signals, "Come try," with clenched fists, and Abdul throws a punch in the air. They both lie on the floor and they roll their entire bodies. Musa stands strong, bouncing and boxing. The boys rapidly move across the space, dancing freely. They stand proudly, punching one hand in the air. They both move with ease, shaking their bodies. Kira, this is me, the lioness.
Kira is a short young woman with long auburn hair tied in a plait, wearing glasses and ear defenders. Chanda is a black and white mixed race woman. Her hair is curly and tied back.
Kira lies on a cushion in a dark space. A close-up of her face. Chanda, her dance partner, sits alongside her. Chanda strokes Kira's back softly. Calmly, Kira takes Chanda's hand to massage her. Kira's right hand sensitively traces her plait. Her hands are open, facing each other. Kira beams a smile, and Chanda softly tickles Kira's arm with her nails. Kira motions Chanda to massage her once again. Chanda holds Kira's hands and pulls her in. As they rock and face each other, kneeling. A close-up of Kira's face. This is me. Joe, a slow dance.
Joe is a white man with very short hair. Becky is a white woman with short curly hair.
Joe, in a yellow t-shirt, stands alone in a room, inviting his dance partner, Becky, to join him. They connect with smiles and touch.
Enjoy doing the dancing and very respectful and enjoy doing the filming and yeah.
Smoothly with joy, they hug each other and embrace themselves. They rock side to side slowly. They throw their arms down and up in delight.
We, yeah, and see so much belongs to another.
Joe stretches over his partner. They stand, connect hands, and happily hug with immense cheer. Yeah?
It's great sharing that with you. So I've run over time, so I'll just really quickly summarise. So Joe, who you just saw there, which just makes me smile, Joe's deafblind. And so we created the audio description and captioning for him, because if you're creating a film for a deafblind dancer, he needs to be able to access what you're actually creating. It's a two-way process. So the audio descriptions for Joe, so that he could sit in an environment like this and access what's he's created, they're the same as everybody else. But then somebody like Kira, who you saw on the second film, she's non-verbal, so audio description for her wouldn't be accessible. So we used Subpac technology, which some of you might have heard of before. Subpacs were originally created for gamers, so they can have that 4D that 4D experience while gaming. So if you blow something up, you feel the rumbles of it. And we saw that and thought, gosh, that would suddenly make sound and music accessible for people that we support. So we actually, alongside the soundtrack that you heard there, we created a vibrational score, so that when you hear the sounds from the film, the Subpac vest would vibrate in sequence to what's happening. So when we did the screening at the Rep Theatre, we had Kira come with her family, who are all set up with Subpac vests, and they could have the same experiences as disabled and non-disabled person. And that's something that we're all striving for, and I know that that's part of the discussion of why we're here today. So we're always trying to think about authentic and integral work, and to ensure that communication is accessible for everybody. So my time's up, but that's just a little snapshot of how we are exploring innovation and technology to make work accessible for deafblind audiences. Love to connect with you, because we are looking for spaces to view the films with Subpac technology. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. We'll pass on to Gavin now.
My name is Gavin Neate, and I checked on Google this morning, and apparently I'm still middle-aged. So, as we all are, seem to be. So yeah, I'm still in there. I am about 6'1" and shrinking, and I have a goatee beard that is greying, and a brand new pair of shoes, because I had to buy them because I knew I was going to be on stage. For 18 years, I was a guide dog mobility instructor, training people how to use guide dogs. And during that time, part of my job was to follow my client at a distance and watch how they interacted with the world. And I would walk into shops and businesses and venues with them, and I would see staff interact with them, and I would shake my head and go, oh my God, why did the staff member not know what to do in that moment? And from that moment on, I realized that staff training for all people in all environments is incredibly challenging, and never been more challenging at a time when we've had a pandemic where we've had a massive turnover of staff. And I knew at that point that I needed to do something about it. And in 2006, I had a client turn up with a mobile phone in their hand, and they were like communicating with their phone through voiceover. And I thought, well, I wonder if I could communicate with staff in a venue before I walked through the door. And that's what I did. In 2015, I left guide dogs after 18 years, and I had invented the world's first proximity-aware staff training tool, unbeknownst to myself. Now, I'm going to do something really insane right now. I'm going to do a live demonstration of the platform. It's sort of insane a little bit, but we have 170 venues in the UK now using Welcome, and I'm very happy to say, even happier this morning, because DCA is a member of the Welcome team. They already use Welcome. We also have the Hippodrome Cinema in Falkirk that used it, and I just heard, and you keep this inside this room, don't tell anybody yet, but Glasgow Science Centre IMAX will eventually have it. So they said this morning that they were keen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to very quickly demonstrate how Welcome works and how it's going to change everybody's experience, if not through Welcome, through any competitor who is doing the same thing. I find that very easy to say because we're the only people in the world doing this so far. So this is a totally live demonstration of the platform. It'll take me a second to log in. Okay, so what we have on the screen here is the management tool that is going to appear on every single person's here's a reception desk, or on a PDA, or on somebody's mobile phone. On my phone, I have an application which I'm now going to book a trip to this particular cinema. So if I go on to, and anybody in this room with a mobile phone could do exactly the same thing right now. So if I go into my mobile phone and go to the particular venue that I'm going to, which we've called, well, it's called Welcome. When I set it up last night, it's called Welcome Cinema. And I'm going to look down at all the information about Welcome on my phone, and it's got how accessible it is, what the staff will be able to do when I arrive, whether there are any reviews on Access Able or Ewan's Guide or any of these other review sites, TripAdvisor for disabled people, and then the venue website itself. I'm going to say I'm going, and I'm going to say I'm going tomorrow between 9 and 12. It's going to ask me a couple of questions, and I'm going to put in answers to those questions. If anybody, does anybody have the app on their phone right now? Oh, that's brilliant. You're all going to have it later on. Right, so I'm going to put in a couple of things that you're going to find out in a second. Do you require... No, and yes, okay. Right, so I've added in a little bit. What do you want to do on this visit? Okay. I want to see the new James Bond movie, but I need to use the accessible toilet before I go into the theatre. There's my message. And I'm now going to click Done on my phone, and it says on my phone, your requirements have been sent. They look forward to seeing you later. And instantly, that is now on the screen. So if I now go over to my laptop as the staff member in the venue who's now had a phone call, email, and a text message to say a disabled person wants to come to your particular venue. When I click on that, I get information about the disabled person who's going to be arriving within 2 hours, or it could be up to 2 weeks in advance. So I have a picture of the person. I have disabilities that the person would like me to have awareness of, although we don't mention the word disability in this. It's just, what would you like awareness of? I then have the accessibility features that we know you have, and I've ticked them because I need to use them. I then have answers to the questions that were asked of me a couple of seconds ago. The first one was, do you have any allergies? And I've said, yes, peanuts. Do you require specific adaptations to enhance your experience? No. Would you like to go over a PEEP, personal emergency evacuation plan, when you arrive at the particular venue? And I've said, yes, that would be useful. On the left-hand side of the screen here, you can see awareness required for, and it has aphasia and autism. And what I have here is an overview of what autism is and an overview of what aphasia is, and then top tips on how you should interact with anyone with that particular condition. We have about 31 different conditions on the platform. We just added Parkinson's on a couple of weeks ago. Underneath that, I have links to the charities that gave us the overviews and the top tips. Top right-hand side is accept. I click on that, and that sends an email back to Gavin to say, we know you're coming and we look forward to your arrival. However, and that all pops up on my screen. I shouldn't have done this live, because if I get emails, they're going to pop up the top here. I really should have cancelled those dating apps. Okay, right, so if I now go into my phone and go into the visits that are planned, this is now gone, because I clicked accept, it's now gone into planned. On my phone, I have a manual arrival button. When I press that button, it says, are you sure you want the venue staff to know you have arrived? I click yes, and that sends a message directly to the team in the venue to say that I've arrived. And the person in the venue can then go and meet Gavin at the door if that's what they said they were able to do. Or it could have said, Gavin will come up to the reception area. As I say, we cover about 31 different disabilities on the platform. We have about 170 venues currently, including Northlink Ferries, 60 sports centres, Irish Rail, Westminster City Council, Brunel Museum, the gardens, the botanical gardens in Edinburgh. It's just growing all the time now because, as we're all very aware, with a high turnover of staff, understanding disability and understanding how people use it or interact with people who are disabled. If a staff member meets and greets somebody who's disabled and does it in a way where both people feel happy, the person is going to want to come back again. Now, you might already know the stats around disabled people's spending power. The purple pound is roughly around about £274 billion a year in the UK alone, over $8 trillion worldwide. But more scary than anything is that 70% of disabled people have said they've had poor customer service. What we do here is we ensure that when somebody arrives, they feel confident that they're going to be met by somebody who understands how to interact with them. And that's welcome, and that's what it does. It also takes about 2 hours to set up. It's available now, and you would be amazed at the cost, because everybody needs to do more with less, and it's nearly free. So I'd be very happy to hear from anybody. This type of solution, this personalised type of solution, is going to be everywhere. And as I say, right now, we're the only people doing it, so I'm very happy to chat to you. Thank you. Shall I just unplug?
Thank you so much, Gavin, for that demonstration. So the 3 projects that we've just seen today, I feel like they kind of explore different stages, and we're very much trying to use the holistic approach beyond just the development of access materials. So we've got an access materials database for information sharing. We've got, actually going to the venue, which can be a very daunting experience for many people with access needs and might just put them off altogether. And we're talking about the viewing experience and the tools that can be used to enhance that. I did have some questions prepared, but I know we're running a bit short on time, so I just wanted to see how we are doing with Slido, because I want to hear the questions from the audience. And yeah.
Yeah, we have a couple. Do you want me to go ahead?
Sorry, say that again?
We do have some.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sidecar question, Toki. Do festivals need to seek permission from the film rights holder before selling or distributing captions, as these include a copyrighted script?
Well, indeed, it's a bit of a grey one. I mean, yes, ultimately, it is the it's the IP of the filmmaker. What I would say is, in most circumstances, if the filmmaker hasn't created those files, they are generally not reluctant. They're not going to be reluctant for somebody else to go and do that piece of work for them if it makes their work more accessible. So as a rule, there's not a lot of resistance to somebody else creating files. Ideally, filmmakers would be doing it themselves, because I would say, from a creative perspective, like if you're doing descriptive subtitles, really you should want your audience to receive those in tandem with the vision that you have for the film. But that's not always the case. So yeah, I would say there's probably been some sneaky subtitles being made. I don't think many people would kick up a fuss about that, but best practice would be to check with the original script holder.
Thank you. And Stephanie, is it possible to create vibrational scores for films?
That would, yeah. Yes, totally. We've just scratched the surface, I think, with this in terms of what it could be, or the exploration or the creativity within it. We did it because we have a need of wanting to create environments accessible for everybody. So if somebody's made work, we want them to experience it. But in terms of opening it up for other films and other short films that are created, yeah, do it. And then let me know.
Thank you. And about Welcome, Gavin, how many users of the app do you have? So people, not venues.
It's got about 8,000 downloads currently. But one of the keys for us is the spread of the service. When we first launched it, anybody that's doing something new, they have very, very few venues. We only had six venues at the very start. But one of the keys for me is the empowerment of the disabled person who's dictating how they're interacted with. But that goes beyond that. So within the system, the disabled person can go to a website or through the app and actually request new venues. So we've got about 800 requests for different venues. But there are 14.2 million disabled people in the UK, and let's just imagine for a second that 1,000 people said they wanted this in IKEA. And I said to IKEA, yeah, it'll cost you £150 a month, as an example, to be able to service this many people. So people power, disabled people dictating where they want it. We had one person walk into House of Fraser, they didn't get served, and they walked out again without spending their money. They requested it, and House of Fraser installed it on one request. So this is about disabled people dictating where they want something, and also dictating how somebody can best help them when they arrive. So yeah, more users, brilliant. But for me, as the leader of the company, it was about getting the venues online so that they had somewhere to go when they downloaded the app. We always say to venues, it's up to you to tell people you have it. We're not there to drive people to your door. It's for you to say you have a service that is going to empower your clients. So it works that way around.
Thank you. And does the tech integrate with box office systems?
That's what we're working on right now, because we're in every single sector, and every single sector has different setups within them. So whenever we talk to a new client, we're then interacting with them to work out how to integrate into their platform. Just the other day, we launched with Eventbrite, so somebody could potentially go through Eventbrite. But when we talk to a different group, so a gym or whoever it might be, or like we're working with Sodexo, and they will say, yeah, we have this particular booking platform. It's then about using that platform. The other thing that we've just done recently is we've got a widget, and it can go directly onto somebody's website. So I used it through the app there, but I could go to Brunel Museum. If anybody goes later to Brunel Museum's website and go to accessibility and click on visit, then you'll be able to plan your visit through their website. A bit like if you were booking a flight through British Airways and it said, do you have access requirements? You would click that, and then you'd be able to fill out your information.
Great, thank you. Back to you, Charlie.
Great, thank you. Toki, I wanted to ask you, in terms of Sidecard, if there's other access materials that can be listed on the database, and how can exhibitors really engage with Sidecard to ensure that it's widespread use and legacy?
Yeah, I think, I mean, basically we can accept any kind of access materials because we're not really uploading the files. We're asking people to hold those files that have owned and created them. It's literally a listing service. So, you know, like I said, I don't know who knows 104 Films, but they were test driving a product called Access Player, which they developed various different versions of a film around different access needs. So one with like more specific trigger warnings within it, another that had specific contrast settings. And so they were able to, you know, create all of these different versions. We would be able to list all of those versions. We probably just need to add some more categories. So at the moment there's like other, which is obviously not that descriptive. But otherwise, in terms of audio description and descriptive subtitles, that would be our focus at the moment, just because that's what's most commonly used. I've forgotten the second part of the question.
No, I think
Promoting, that's what we need. Yeah. Talk about it, use it, share it with people. The other thing I guess might ask for exhibition at the moment is to go to distributors and go to filmmakers. If you're requesting films at the point of booking, ask them for those access versions. I think if we're applying pressure from exhibition, if audiences are applying pressure by asking, and then hopefully, you know, we're going to have a better dialogue about making sure that there are more films that are accessible to people who are deaf and hard of hearing and with sight loss. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, personally as a moviegoer with access needs and also as a consultant, half the battle was just trying to find out if a film had access material, and I had so many back and forth conversations with cinemas, distributors, filmmakers, and people just did not seem to know what they actually had available. So this is just a brilliant resource. So yeah, very much encourage everyone to engage with it. Stephanie, I wanted to ask a little bit about how, you know, the Subpac brings kind of a whole other layer of enhanced viewing experience, and I think our goal is to make the experience as equal as possible to those who don't have access needs. So what should exhibitors really consider when they're wanting to engage with audiences with complex disabilities or deaf blindness? What are the kind of things that they should be thinking about before starting those relationships?
Yeah, I mean, I think. Come in. I think both of the kind of organisations sat beside me are a brilliant way to start that journey towards accessibility. I think the best place to start with is representation. So find people within your community to ask questions and consult with and explore and build those relationships. for the people we support with complex disabilities, as you were saying before, going to new spaces can be intimidating, and ensuring that your needs are met is really paramount to be confident with what you're trying to experience and explore. And access is about the kind of physical environment, but it is also about kind of attitudes and confidence within those locations. But you're not going to be experts to begin with. So I think just even like starting to ask the questions and be led by the people who you want to work with. So get disabled filmmakers, disabled audiences into your spaces and start having those questions and inquiries. Naturally then, by having the voices of the people that you want to get into your spaces, that will then inform the journey that you make, whether it is having more relaxed screenings, or you ensure that everything has AD and captioning, or you go down the route of having a section of each cinema with Subpac vests set up. I mean, that's the very end goal of kind of what you can be working towards. But it's having representation and it's having visibility. That's the first point. And ensuring the decisions that are being made are by the people that you want to be supporting and engaging with. I think as long as you can stay integral to that, you can't go wrong. And I think the other thing just to say is that when working with people with very complex disabilities or deaf blindness, there's a lot of anxiety out within cultural venues of getting it wrong, and it's okay. People are just human, you know. I make mistakes all the time, every single day. And as long as you kind of are authentic and listen to the people that you're trying to engage with in whatever form of communication they need, you can't go wrong. I mean, there's loads of stuff out there, but that's what I would say is a good starting point.
Thank you. Do I have time for one more question? Yeah, cool. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how, as someone with both sight loss and hearing loss, and going to any space, but especially cultural spaces that are so visual and audio dependent, the cinema can be a very daunting and stressful place to navigate. It's very much getting from A to B to C to D. It's a constant whir of concentration, and just having to actually hope that when I get there, that there's going to be that support available, or even just awareness and eagerness to support me in the way that I need to be supported. So Gavin, I wanted to ask a little bit about how can exhibitors really engage with Welcome in a meaningful way that makes not just audiences but the staff feel confident and comfortable with assisting customers.
So there's a saying which is a friend is a stranger is a friend you haven't met yet. And I've always thought that name giving and the exchange of names gives you that next step towards friendship and certainly communication. With the work that I'm doing with Welcome, what we're doing is giving names before the arrival. So there's a connection with somebody before they arrive. Empathy and understanding of that person is massively important on the staff member's point of view. But of course, and as Steph said there, it's about the anxiety. You will all have venues where you have disabled people coming, but I guarantee you're only seeing 70% or 20% of the people that could be coming because other people are too anxious to actually go. So utilizing a system where you encourage people, even though if you know you have brilliant staff and you know you have brilliant environment, people don't know that until they've got there. So getting them to come is one of the most important things that you can do. And I think the small steps are really important, but you do need to, it can't just be I'll get it wrong and get away with it. So it's sort of not, I'm not arguing against that point, but if you get it wrong, sometimes you really get it wrong these days because it can go on social media quite quickly, and that's quite challenging, and that would be quite worrying for staff members. So there has to be a level of training, there has to be a level of confidence in the staff member, and very quickly I used this platform, I launched it, an office block in London, and the lady who had been in HR and admin and for a long time, she was working on reception that day, and I said on the platform, we said, right, 5 minutes from now, this gentleman is arriving, he's a guide dog owner. And I said, here's some information about guide dog owners. And she left me, before she went to the front door, we knew he'd arrived, she was shaking like a leaf. She was like really nervous about meeting him. because she suddenly knew all the things that she had to remember. She would never have been nervous before, but she'd been living with unconscious incompetence. And now she was like, wow, I know what I need to do, but I'm worried I might not get it right. When she came back, and she came back to see me after meeting him, she was shaking like a leaf. But this time it was with excitement. She was so, I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it because I can remember it. She was over the moon with the fact that she had had an interaction that was really positive, introduced herself, didn't talk to the guide dog, offered her arm rather than took his, walked at his pace, explained where they were, left him, having got him to a seat safely, and she was buzzing. So it's about the staff members feeling brilliant about what they do, and hopefully then they stay in position a bit longer before moving on.
Great. Thank you very much, Gavin. I think that's all the time we have for now. But thank you all so much for being here and for engaging with us. And hope you enjoy the rest of today. Thank you. And thank you to our panel.
Thank you, everyone on the panel. That was really inspirational, and hopefully if you're around, people can come and pick your brains. There were more questions we couldn't get to, so if you'd accept that, that'd be great. It's lunchtime, everyone. So just a couple of things to tell you. Lunch will be served, if you were here yesterday, in the same place. If you weren't, just where you got your delegate pass in that open foyer. You can sit in the meeting room upstairs if you'd like a little bit of chill time and somewhere to sit. You can go to Cinema 2 to watch the BFI Network shorts. You can take your lunch in with you, so that's fine. And also, back by popular demand, there is another projection tour because it was overbooked yesterday. So if anybody wants to nosy around the projection room, head to the delegate desk. We'll gather you up and we'll start that then. We come back at 1:15 in this room. Thank you.